Right, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Without Time and Kick the Ball. I'm Will or TubeMix, either will do. And often we hear about players having a good footballing brain. Well, this person certainly does have a good footballing brain. He's full to the brim of football knowledge. It's Mr. Sam Taylor.
Hello, buddy. Thank you. I'm liking the introduction there. Although I think Jordan might have something to say about the football knowledge.
Well, do you know, even if Jordan had been there, that was the intro. The next time I hosted this show, that's been in the pipeline for a while, mate.
Oh, I thought it was special for me, but there we go.
Well, if Jordan was here, it would have been, footballing brains, but he isn't here, so I've had to slightly modify it, chop the S off.
I see. So I'm not special to you then, Will. I get it. No problem. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. He says I've got brains, but actually today my brain is slightly lagging behind. I'm a little bit tired, but raring to go. And looking forward to a good show.
So let's get into it. So I think the first game we're going to talk about is Manchester United against Tottenham, and it was Tottenham Hotspur 1, Manchester United 0, and obviously both teams have been sort of going in the same direction, although Spurs are slightly more clearer in the direction they're going in and don't have the chaos that United have also behind the scenes. So what were your thoughts on the United v Spurs game?
Well, I was actually coming back from my own Power football tournament, but yeah. So I listened to the first half on the radio.
Yes.
Second half I watched at home. So I was back. And to be honest, it was a pretty poor game. I thought that both sides lacked confidence first and foremost. You could tell both sides have been struggling struggling in recent times.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a clear, team that was better than the other.
Yeah.
I thought United created some chances. Garnacho had a few one he put over the bar, and then another one. A couple the keeper saved. And obviously Tottenham got the goal through Maddison.
Yes.
After Bergval's shot, I think it was, and he tapped it in. Pleased to see Maddison back. I think he's a player. He's a player that I always feel can give more, and I say that meaning there's more in there. I think he could be a top player.
Well, he's still quite young, isn't he, Maddison?
Well, it's 27, 28, so he just needs to stay fit from injury. But easier said than done if you're a Spurs player.
Good player for Norwich and Leicester, of course, beforehand as well. So yeah.
But obviously, for Spurs, staying fit from injury for the players is not proving to be easy.
For United, I guess, as well.
Well, United, yes, we've got injuries, but the trend just continued. It doesn't seem to matter who we pick right now.
That is true, yeah.
And obviously, Ahmad's been a bright spark, and Onana's been pretty decent in goal.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Ahmad is out now with an ankle injury, and Amarin says probably for the rest of the season, so that's a huge blow.
Of course it is. The one thing I will caveat with that is he's very young and hasn't played much football over years, so he might surprise us and come back quicker, but he's certainly going to be out for an extended period of time, and then even when he's back, he might not be fully fit and obviously won't be able to match speed. So
yes,
you could, even if he comes back, say April time, then he's we're not going to have that bigger impact on the rest of the season. But it is a blow. I think United, though, real issues with the club and the team. We know this. We've been through all these.
Well, yeah.
sort of-
How many times have we said on this show? You know, it's the same issues at United, both on the pitch and off the pitch.
And I think the off the pitch ones are bigger. You know,
I mean, particularly the sorry to interrupt you, but the Dan Ashworth one particularly really stands out for me.
well, somebody made a really good point the other day. Is that really Jim Radcliffe? You know, like if you own McDonald's, so
Yes.
you have your McDonald's, and this is a bit of a strange analogy, everybody, so bear with me. But
Right. Yeah.
McDonald's is franchised out to
Yes, it
different.
is. Yes.
So you can own a franchise of McDonald's,
Yes.
but the McDonald's group is still owned by whoever the company, by the McDonald's family, I still think they're owned by.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So, but obviously within that, you can have your franchise.
Yeah.
And basically, this guy was saying on the radio that what Jim Radcliffe has brought is a franchise of Man United in terms of is in charge of the playing side, like the
footballing side. Yeah.
operations, him and Ineos.
Yes.
Behind that, the majority shareholder
You've
is
still got the Glazers. Yeah.
Yes. So he's limited to whatever you think about Jim Radcliffe, and he's made some poor decisions, I think, since he's come in. It's a bit like saying, because in McDonald's, say you want to put a decking outside your McDonald's, you can't because it's got to be in line with the other McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
So the point I'm making is they're restricted a little bit in what they can do. Having said that, I think some of the redundancies they've made, the Fergie one, Ferguson said, and I've said this on this show as well before, that you need every man, woman and child in the football club pointing in the right direction.
Oh, yes, of course, that's common sense.
All on the same page. And if you're sacking or making redundant people that have been working in the club 20, 30, 40 years, even if it's somebody like a steward at the matches or whatever.
Or a cleaner or something like that, yeah.
The cleaner or the kit man or, this has a massive effect on, or the groundsman, the guy that cuts the grass.
Yes.
It has a massive effect on the morale of the football club.
Yes.
If those people are being made redundant, it's different if people leave, because obviously people leave for new opportunities, but making redundancies is not good. I mean, I played for Manchester United Power Chair football team.
Yes.
And within that, you will have heard people out there that so being part of the Power Chair football team the Manchester means you're part of the Manchester United Foundation.
Yes.
So our team is part of the foundation, which are all the teams, the deaf, the blind, all different types, the amputees.
Yeah, the whole lot, yeah.
All come under United and are all part of the United group.
Yes.
But they're talking about making big cuts to the foundation as well. Which
could be hugely damaging if to go ahead.
My Power Chair Football Club, we don't know this, but it could mean that it, could be...
Well, that could have huge cuts in it, potentially.
Could be, could be affected, who knows? We don't know that for sure yet. But that's the word that's going round. So,
yeah.
Well, and the point I'm making is, I know this was slightly off topic, but it all impacts to what we see on the pitch. I think, having said that, the players haven't been good enough, and they've not been good enough for a long time over a sustained period of time.
Yeah.
So for United, I mean, people have said, I think there's a common theme between United and Tottenham. People have said, and I really like Ange, and I really like what I see of Amarin so far. He's got character, and I think that's something.
Oh, and he's not afraid to take ruthless decisions, has he?
And I think that's something Upside Down Head was lacking. If you don't know who I mean by that, Ten Hag.
Eric Ten Hag.
He was a bit. I always found him a bit the same. He was never warm. I could never engage with him.
He always seemed to want to confront the media, wasn't he? Sort of getting into almost rows with every time he did a press conference.
I found him a little bit wooden, a little bit lacking personality.
Yeah.
So for me, where Ruben Amarin's got that, and Ange Postecoglou's got that. So I really like Ange, and I really like so far what I've seen of Ruben Amarin.
Yes.
But the issue both clubs are having is that Tottenham have had 12, 13 players out at times.
Yes.
And Amarin's had to get, Postecoglou's had to get these young
players in, yeah.
All right, there's people that quite rightly say he's moaning about how many injuries they've got, but these youngsters still are paid by the football club. They're professionals. But one thing I would say is he's not helped himself, and it's always difficult if you lose that many players.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
He hasn't been willing to change the style of play. And I don't mean that he has to change it completely.
But just has to be able to tweak it sometimes.
Yeah, and if you've got an emergency crisis of injuries, which Tottenham have had, almost unprecedented.
Yes, exactly. They've had a lot of players out.
And you have to change.
Oh, of course you do. Yeah, yeah.
It's going completely away from your principles and going, right, we're going to, park the bus almost and hit on the counter attack just to get through this period.
Yes, and then once the players are back, then we can go back to, the style that we were playing before.
To get points on the board. Because what he's done is Ange has carried on with the same style and is asking these players who at this level as a group, with all these players they've had out, aren't good enough to play that way. And I'm not saying they're good enough on their own to get Tottenham where they need to be, but they could have got more results. They would have been up and down, but they could have got more results by going long a bit more or being defensively a bit more.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You need to have different ways to win, yeah.
And not only that, but just because they've had so many injuries. And equally, you could say the same about Ten Hag. Now, I know he's not Ten Hag, Ruben Amarin.
Yeah.
Even though Ruben Amarin has not had as many injuries, he clearly doesn't have the players to play in this system.
Yeah.
The system is brought in with playing the three at the back and the...
Yeah, which he played at Sporting Lisbon, yeah.
It's great to have his style, and I absolutely think he should stick to it. But right now, it's coming to the middle of the season.
Because you've not got the players you need, so wait until you've got the players you need to interplay your stars, yeah.
The players have had no pre-season. Let's say, right, he'd had a whole pre-season.
Yes.
And they were still looking like they weren't good enough. Then you could start to say, well, these players are just obviously not buying into it, or there's a problem with the manager. I don't believe that. These players aren't good enough anyway. So it's not that they're not buying into his ideas. It's just we haven't got the profile of player to play the way Amarin wants to play. We haven't got that. So till the end of the season, there was people saying, should he just go 4-4-2 or play Mourinho kind of football? I kind of think
park the bus, yeah.
I kind of think we need that, and maybe not park the bus, but play on the counter attack, because that was what United used to do. The only thing this group of players have been half decent at, playing on the counter attack.
Yeah.
And we just haven't got the players to play that way. So he's a bit like Ange, but for a different way, with the injuries.
Yes.
I find managers now are so stubborn. If it's not working and you haven't got the personnel, it's different if you bring your own players in.
Oh, of course, yes.
And it's not working, the manager's at fault. But he has to be clever enough to recognise that the players, the United players, and the Tottenham players while they were injured could not play.
Don't suit the system, yeah.
I'm not saying with Ange the system. With Ange, it was more the style, because they were so gung-ho and going for it all the time and leaving themselves open. But for Amorim, the style of play, these players clearly can't play it. So from now to the end of the season, I don't mind if we're the most boring side in the league from now to the end of the season.
But at least if you get results while playing a boring style of football to the end of the season.
And then he can start to bring his own players in. And
yes, I think that's very valid. Let me ask you... Oh, sorry.
I'm not saying that he'd be able to do it all in one window, but you have to look at what you've got. I mean, Maguire's never going to be able to play this system. Shaw probably could, but he's not injured. Ahmad can. Garnacho, not sure. Delict wasn't brought for that kind of thing. Mazraoui wasn't brought for that kind of thing. Dallo probably can play it, but hasn't got the support around him.
Yeah.
Hoyland's not good enough. Zertz is not good enough, no matter what system they play in. But Hoyland's a big lad, so just mix it up a bit for now. It doesn't matter. Forget the long-term plan for the short-term game. We just got to get results.
You just got to get through till the end of the season, and then
managers, especially managers in general now, are so obsessed with one idea, and I love that.
Do you think it's also because fans are so demanding? They want.
I think more styles come into it, hasn't it? If you 20 years ago, we'd sit here and people would go, I don't really care the way my side plays as long as we win.
As long as you get points, yeah, exactly.
Now it's kind of, we care about the results, but we almost care about the style just as much. And sometimes you can't have both.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you were talking about David Moyes, well, we've been talking about David Moyes often on this show, and, West Ham fans wanting him out, even though, he did a pretty good job there because of the style. So, yeah, I completely agree with you.
Just before you finish off, Will, not just fans that think that way now, managers think that way, I think, because...
But do you think it's influenced by the fans wanting one style?
Yeah, I don't think that's the way football's going. I think everybody's seen the way Pep plays football, and everybody's like, no matter what my idea is, if Pep can stick to it, then when it's not going well, then I will stick to it. So there's no adaptability much anymore, which is fine. I love principled person. We wake up every morning and we live our lives by principles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We believe certain things. Some people are religious. Some people are, believe in certain, things and certain faiths or whatever, but we all believe slightly different things. But
yes, exactly.
At the end of the day, we adapt our views to, or most of us do, to to listen to other people's opinions as well. I think
yes, I agree.
Managers have just got so stuck in one way, the newer managers, that sometimes that can be to their detriment. But anyway, what do you think?
Well, I think you raised some good points, very valid. So I want to ask you this final question before we move on. Somebody was saying on the BBC Sport website, because I was following the United game on live text, should United have stuck with Ruud van Nistelrooy till the end of the season and then wait to bring in Amorim? Do you think they should have done that?
If you could get assurances that Amorim was going to wait till the summer, yes. But maybe that's because apparently one of the reasons United kept Erik ten Hag in the summer was because, not in the summer, kept him in September, October, was because Ruben Amorim didn't want to come mid-season.
Yes.
But United sacked ten Hag in November, was it? And he ended up coming. So I think that if you could have guaranteed an Amorim said, yeah, I'm happy at Sporting until the end of the season,
and then I'll come,
agree a pre-contract agreement with United, a bit like Erik ten Hag did.
From Ajax,
He was still the Ajax manager, wasn't he?
Yes, because there was Ralph Rangnick, who was in charge temporarily.
Yeah, but he'd already, maybe not when Ralph Rangnick was appointed, but he was up before the end of the season. Ajax and United hadn't played the last games yet, and they knew he was coming in. They obviously had that agreement in place. So maybe Ruben Amorim United said, look, we need you now. But I think, so who knows, it's difficult to say what went on behind the scenes, but I think maybe, yes, just even get Ralph Rangnick back. He has been, actually, my favourite Man United manager since Fergie left.
Well, one of his famous quotes to say, this team needs open heart surgery, didn't he?
And I think the club needed open heart surgery, and I loved his honesty.
Yes.
Like I was like, at the time I was like, that's a bit strong. But looking back now, I'm like, what a brilliant thing to say. And you know
because
what?
He was right. Yeah.
He was to stay on in a consultancy role, wasn't he?
That's right. Yes, and then that didn't last long. Yeah.
But I think he thought, bloody hell, these guys don't have the clue what they're doing. I need to get
out of it. Yeah.
So there's a lot, and there was that, and the Dan Ashworth situation, and other situations that just haven't gone right. There's clearly fractions at boardroom level, because apparently Dan Ashworth wanted Thomas Rank, and there's a big split on Amorim or Frank. So there's clearly issues there. So the club,
it's in a mess, isn't it? Yeah.
People can come in, and it cannot work out. But it's happening so often with United at all different levels, and there's clearly a problem. I know you're hosting, Will, but I just had a question for you.
Okay, yep, fire away.
If that's all right, just while it's on my mind. Obviously, from a Tottenham angle, there's been massive backlash against Daniel Levy.
All the protests.
That's always been bubbling under the surface the last few years, right?
Oh, yes, I think they're desperate for Levy to leave, aren't they, now?
But now it's really spilling over. What was your view of the Levy situation?
Well, it's interesting because obviously when I first got back into football, of course, Mauricio Pochettino was Tottenham manager, and they were finishing in the top four, and the club was going in a really good direction, except for winning a trophy. But they were going in a good direction. They were playing some good football. They were getting into the top four, and but now that they're not getting into the top four, yeah, I suppose that getting into the top four was papering over the cracks, but now the Levy stuff is really spilling out because they haven't got that. So that's my view on that situation.
And do you think, because obviously you look at Levy, he's obviously a brilliant businessman.
Yes, I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson said, what was it? I think he said a broken. He'd rather have a broken foot, I think, than negotiate with Daniel Levy or something along those lines. Yeah.
But obviously, from a Tottenham angle, he's delivered in the stadium.
Yes.
Arguably the best stadium in the world, club stadium. You could argue he has revolutionised the training ground, the facilities. He's brought managers in. He'll say winners in Conte and
Mourinho, exactly. Yeah.
To try and get them, as well as young managers like Pochettino. So, is the criticism unfair, or do you look at Tottenham's wage bill and stuff like that, which is a lot lower than other teams, and say he might be a great businessman, but the football side of it has got wrong, and it's time to go?
It's difficult because, on paper, getting Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho, both proven Premier League veterans and winners, I thought, do you know what? This will probably be a good move for Spurs. They won't play as good as football as Pochettino did, but I'm sure they'll win trophies. And the fact is, they didn't. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it might benefit Tottenham to have some fresh blood in the club. Levy's run it for so many years now. But I don't know what the answer is, to be honest.
I suppose, as well, for those of you that don't know, Daniel Levy, while he's the Tottenham chairman, is not the Tottenham owner. The Tottenham owner
is owned by his family, isn't it? I read.
No, Joe Lewis is the Tottenham owner.
Oh, sorry, that's right, yes.
Yeah. But he's getting on a bit, so what'll happen to the club when he goes, I'm not sure, but...
Yes, good point, actually, yeah. And he's very rarely there anyway, isn't he? Yeah.
He gets Levy to run it, so maybe the time's up. I think it's sort of a split thing with Levy. I think he's done amazing off the field, but on the field it could have been better. But he has had, and the fact that people like Conte said, what was it in that unbelievable press conference? There is the owner, and they still win nothing.
Yeah.
And this is the first time in my career that this situation, this club is basically disgraceful, he was saying.
Well, to be honest, I also can see two sides, but also, Conte and Mourinho do seem to be very good at falling out with people wherever they go.
No, that's a good point, and
so it could be them also being difficult, but I can see two sides to it, so it's an interesting one.
Is by comparison to people sort of in the same, like Paris Saint-Germain and Man City and stuff, Tottenham don't spend as much money. Now, whether they've got the money is another thing, but generally they don't spend as much.
PSG, sack their managers even if they won the French league. If they go out of the Champions League, they're gone. They're out the door.
Historically, Tottenham don't spend as much money. and Daniel Levy will say the club is sustainable and you know all this
And
about
passing
PSL
financial fair play and stuff like that, yeah.
is very solid. It's well run. It's you know competes for things even though it might not win things and is going through a tricky moment. So again,
Which
it's
would
a tough.
also be valid. I could see where he was coming from as well. So yeah, if he was to say that.
I think once the fans start to turn like that, you know, it's been bubbling. It's like with the Glaziers, they bubbled, and then the European Super League came in, and it seemed to be the end for the Glaziers, full stop, in terms of being around the club, which is why they got Ineos in. So I just wonder. I think fans also want owners that are clear and transparent with
Yeah,
what's going
like sort of the Leicester owner, for example.
So if there's not the money there, then they can explain to the fans why, and the fans will probably understand more.
Yeah, I
But
think it's probably the lack of Levy probably being open with it that's probably really bothering them.
tell people the truth, then they kind of get it. And they
Yes.
go, okay. Kind of was the problem with Mike Ashley at times at Newcastle. But I remember just while we were on about the European Super League, I remember that
Oh, now that was extraordinary, that whole story.
there was the Carve Solikol, who is one of the Sky Sports reporters.
Yeah.
And I like Carve, he said while this was going on, that one, because obviously the Big Six, as they were called, Tottenham, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea,
Yes.
all wrote a letter to break away from the Champions League, which would have meant breaking away from domestic competition as well.
Yeah.
And Carve Solikol, while this was going on, said, I'm led to believe that one of these Big Six owners came to watch his team and had to ask what colour shirts his players were in.
Oh, dearie me.
They didn't know which team was his.
Well, that just shows you some owners are just purely financial and they literally do not have a clue, or they're not interested in the footballing side.
So he had to be told apparently what.
And I think that's what annoys fans as well. They want owners who are also passionate about the footballing side as well.
That's the disconnect that can happen. So I think Levy, I do feel for him a bit because I don't think all the criticism is deserved, but maybe it is time. But with regards to Spurs and United, obviously both having underwhelming seasons.
Yes.
Spurs shown a lack of fight recently. You might say they've been a bit Spursy.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think Tottenham will finish above United in the league. Neither team is in trouble of relegation.
But I don't think they're not going to be in the top four, are they? Both of them.
No, top 10 if they're lucky.
Yeah.
I've said United will finish between 10th and 15th. I think Spurs, if they can keep the players fit, might finish around 7th or 8th if they can put a run together. But for United, you know, I think it was a really difficult season. I think Everton, the likes of Everton, will finish above us now.
Well, yeah, especially with a revitalised, you know, the revival of David Moyes. So, yeah.
You have to be careful because, as Rio Ferdinand put it, and I don't think he was a bit over the top, Rio, recently. But
well, he knows what he's talking about.
United next week play Everton. So if we lose that, you know, that we're 12 points above the relegation zone. If we lose to Everton, lose to Ipswich that we got coming up, and lose to Leicester.
Well, goodness me, if they were to lose against Ipswich and Leicester, that would be really alarming.
We are in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
So we're okay, and that won't happen because I don't think. But who knows with this United team?
Yeah, who knows? And sometimes, sometimes there is the odd occasional performance that they do turn up. So, yeah.
And you know, maybe there is hope with this group of players, but we've just seen it. Whatever you say about the club and the team, the players have to be accountable. There's players that have played for big clubs there and have not done it. So
Yeah, like Casemiro, used to play for Real Madrid. So, yeah.
I feel a bit differently about Casemiro because his legs have gone, which is not his fault. He's physically, his legs, he can't run anymore. So for me, that's not his fault. But people like, obviously, Rashford wasn't pulling his weight. People like De Ligt had been poor, and he's played for Bayern Munich and Juventus, I think, and Ajax.
And Ajax, yeah.
Just Hoyland's a bit different.
Well, he's so young, isn't he?
What it is, we brought in players in hope rather than expectation, and I think mixed in with the current squad that was average anyway, it's not good. But yeah, I think Spurs and it's just how we are, mate. That's what he likes to say. As he's looking at the floor.
Oh, but, yeah.
But it's just how we are, mate. But, I think I like Angela and I like Ruben Amorim, and I hope they both get it right. And credit to Daniel Levy for one thing. He could have easily sacked Postecoglou.
Let me ask you, one more question, Sam. So if Tottenham are in the same place they are now, do you think Ange will get the sack?
In the same place they are now, what, at the end of the season?
Yes, in the table.
Yes, I think they probably need to, again, it depends on injuries, but I mean, they probably need to finish in the top 10 and win the Europa League for him.
And if they don't do any of those things, Ange will get the sack, do you think, then?
Regrettably, you'd imagine so. And I really like him, so...
Yes.
And it'd be a shame, because I think he's a very good manager.
Yeah,
but again, unlike Hammer, he's brought in a lot of his own players now.
Yes.
So, and I think the injuries have a lot to do with the way that they play, the relentless nature. I mean, Mickey van der Ven can run it. I think his top speed is 23.5 miles an hour.
Right.
Which is ridiculously insane, but with that, he's had hamstring problems and all sorts. So, the relentless nature, and they play with a high line.
Yes. Anyway, we could really do with moving on.
That was a good discussion. No,
yes, absolutely, yes. But we've got a lot to cover, so we'll move on to Brighton v Chelsea. Obviously, Brighton back to winning ways, and really a comfortable win for Brighton. Chelsea never really looked like getting back into it, and what was your thoughts on the game?
You want to do the goal scorers first?
Oh, sorry. Well, I was kind of thinking. Oh, yes, I will do that, because when we do the scores, obviously I'll leave that out, because obviously, we've already talked about it as a featured games. So Matoma, assisted by Verbruggen, and Minter, assisted by Danny Welbeck. So, Brighton 3, Chelsea 0. What was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, great for Brighton. I really like what Fabian Herzl has done at Brighton. Again, they picked great managers. I know they got beat by 7-0 by Forest, but that was a bit of a strange result. But in the main, Brighton have been very good, a very young squad. They've had to rejuvenate it, with the likes of McAllister, Caicedo,
Yes.
leaving in the last few years, Trossard, Dan Burn. So, but unlike
McAllister, yeah.
McAllister, but unlike Southampton, who went through a similar thing a few years ago,
Yes.
Brighton seem to be in a position where they can rejuvenate and refresh, and
Yeah.
they have a concession plan in place for people leaving, a bit like they point in all the right directions. Unlike the last club the two teams we were talking about.
Yep. Yeah, Brighton seem to be run really well, don't they? Yeah.
I think it's interesting, this one, because for those of you that didn't know it, Brighton also beat Chelsea in the FA Cup the week before this game.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that had some bearing on it. However, Chelsea have been a bit lackluster recently. I saw them
After
in
that good spell, when they were really doing really well, and they seem to be struggling.
I saw them in winning against West Ham the other week, and they weren't that convincing. So I think the performance levels have just dropped a bit. Maybe they were outperforming themselves. I had Chelsea, ironically, around where Tottenham and Man United are now at the start of the season. And it hasn't worked out like that. But they're just going through a bit of a spell at the minute.
Why do you think that is? What's going wrong at Chelsea?
Squad, haven't they? You look at the squad they've got. Madueke's 22, 23, and Caicedo's 22. They've got Palmer, who's 21,
Yes.
22. They've got Gusto's a young man. They've got Shalabar's a young player. And the goalie is quite young, not Sanchez, the other one.
Jorgensen, yeah.
Who's been in goal recently. So they've got a lot of young players.
Yes.
And you probably need a bit more experience in there as well as that youthful players. And also one thing we both know about young players is they can go up and down, which is natural for young players to do.
Yes, of course,
so,
yes.
Even when they're at the top level, they can go up and down to a certain extent. So I think Chelsea were probably outperforming and are just kind of going back to where they are. They'll finish in the top. I think they'll finish in the top 6. I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Oh, yes, I agree. I think they'll be probably, if they're not in the top 4, they will be in the Europa League places, I reckon.
I think. But yeah, they've just hit a bit of a spell, and the confidence seems to have drained. I look at Chelsea early in the season, because they've got young players, they were up for it. Everybody wanted the ball. They were bright, vibrant, which hadn't always been the case the previous couple of seasons under Pochettino and
Potter, Graham Potter, yeah.
And Lampard before that when he came back to it.
Yeah.
So I just think that they've just lost a bit of confidence, and what you need is, Graham Souness would say this, you need senior pros in the dressing room just to help the youngsters.
Well, of course, when you think they used to have the likes of, someone like Gary Cahill, who became a bit of a...
On Terry, even if those guys weren't playing, they were still having an impact.
They could help them, and tell them where they can improve and give them advice, That's so important.
People like Aspilicueta, who I think was one of the most underrated fullbacks I've seen for longevity.
Well, he played for Chelsea for a good long while, didn't he?
About 10 years, wasn't it? He was absolutely brilliant player. But you need that kind of, and they lost a lot. And obviously, those guys wouldn't be around now because they'd be too old. But they lost all their senior players they got rid of. So Thiago
Silva, became that sort of figure as well, didn't he?
When now they haven't got any senior players. Obviously, those players probably would have gone by now anyway, but they've not replaced them with any older players.
Yeah.
To keep that in there, which is okay, but you've got to expect up and down performances then.
Yeah.
And that's all right as long as Chelsea are patient. But I think overall Maresca's done a great job, even though I didn't agree with some of his decisions.
The bomb squad that they had, yeah.
The well documented. We won't go into them too much because we've done it a lot. But yes, I think Brighton, great character to come back into it and to, after being beaten 7-0, obviously.
Yeah,
the
which, you would think that would really affect them. But I suppose maybe they use some of that anger to channel them, to motivate them, really. Right, yes, come on, let's get back to where we were.
Yeah, he's saying that to me, or the players thought that.
Oh, well, I was thinking that's what maybe the Brighton players.
Oh, I thought you were saying, come on, Sam.
Sorry. No.
That's fine. We'll leave that in, Will. That's quite funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it probably was. I think the cup game, and it was against the same opposition, so that probably helped them.
Yes.
A bit of break in between. Did you see Matoma's goal?
Yes, I did. I can't remember.
When the goalie, the Verbruggen, kicked it long to him, and his first touch before he finished it, it was just a long ball, and he brought it out of the sky beautifully, and then just ran in on goal and scored. It was an absolute wonderful goal. One of the best first touches to bring the ball out of the sky I've ever seen from Karu Matoma.
Yeah.
And what a goal. It was a long pass from Verbruggen, but he had so much to do. The keeper maybe could have done better, but the touch and finish deserved the goal, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Brighton looked full of energy, and obviously got 2 goals as well through Minter, who has got an electric pace about him. It can be a bit raw, but is a big, strong lad as well. So he's got pace, agility, and aggression. And
yes.
Brighton just outplayed Chelsea.
Well, they just in every department, didn't they? They looked really up for it. They were playing, quick, high tempo, attacking football, and yeah.
Yeah, so a great win for Brighton. Still in contention for those European places despite that loss to Forest. And now having a good season in, I think anywhere between this season 10th and 7th for Brighton is achievable.
Yeah, I mean, if they finish 7th, that would be really good for them, yeah.
Yeah, anywhere between 10th and 7th would be a really good season for them.
Well, I think that's probably where they will finish, because, they're definitely not going to get relegated. So, we will see.
Maybe not quite Europe this year, but if they can recruit well again in the summer and bring some of those young players on, then why?
Brighton are really good at recruiting, aren't they? That's one of their strengths.
Bringing the youngsters on, why can't they? Why can't they have a European push next year? But we'll see. They might just sneak in. Who knows? They might win a. Brighton are a team that could go on and win an FA Cup. Who knows?
Potentially, yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Now, I do want to move on, if that's okay, Sam, to the next game.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So the final of our 3 featured Premier League games are Manchester City 4, Newcastle United 0. Now, I've got to be honest, I actually thought, and given how shaky City were defensively, I thought Newcastle were going to beat them, but no, obviously not the case. Mamouche had a hat trick and assisted by Edison for the first goal, and then in the 24th minute Gundogan, and then Savinho in the 33rd minute, before the young lad James McAtee in the 84th minute, assisted by Erling Haaland. So, what did you think of this game?
Well, I saw the highlights, and I thought City were excellent. Marmouche is a real handful, plays in behind.
Could be having a new Egyptian king of the Premier League, maybe.
Last line of the defence as well. He seems to, a new Egyptian king, maybe. I think, so we don't upset Liverpool fans and Mo Salah fans, we'll call him the Egyptian prince, shall we?
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
The heir to the throne when
Salah goes, exactly. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
In Premier League, but sorry about that, Liverpool fans. I hope he doesn't leave at the minute, Salah, because I think he's still got a lot to offer. Yep. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Marmouche was sensational in the highlights. I saw causing defenders all types of problems. I thought that on his debut, actually, when he signed, he looked a real handful. And he's sort of he's not a natural striker. He sort of plays a wing and comes in off the wing and can run in behind.
Yeah.
But he looks great. And that's the first hat trick of his senior career. So congratulations to Marmouche. I saw him interviewed a bit after as well. And
yes, I saw his interview on Match of the Day, yeah.
Seemed a nice fella.
Yeah, he did seem a nice fella, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, which is always nice to see it, down to earth. Down to earth.
Which, to be honest, he seemed more nicer than Haaland, really. Yeah, no arrogance that...
Well, we'll see. I mean, Haaland does his talking on the pitch, I guess. Good win for City. Obviously, they had a dramatic 3-2, I think it was, lost to Real Madrid in midweek in the Champions League playoff.
Yeah.
Playoff round, that is Real Madrid against City. But anyway, so I, like you, thought defensively they'll struggle. But Newcastle, on the other hand, while City were vibrant and up for it and really went for it, Newcastle have been a bit up and down. They went on a great run.
Yeah, and they had people like, Isak, scoring a lot, yeah.
In and around Christmas, they went for a great run. Looked like they might, it was a long shot, but might even challenge for the league the way they were going. I think they went 10 wins unbeaten, or 8 wins out of 10, or something like that. So but Newcastle just showed a lack of energy. I don't know if say disparity house signs, but a lack of desire, a lack of real hunger. And they need to keep on the pace if they want to get back into the Champions League. I know 5 spots might be awarded this year, depending on the new coefficiency rule, which is how your teams from countries perform in Europe to get the extra spot. Last year it was Germany.
By the way, I just want to ask you briefly, what do you think about that rule? Do you think it's a good addition?
I can see, because there's more teams in the Champions League now.
Yes.
They've expanded it, and it's 36 teams from...
I think that sounds about right, yeah.
6 from 32, wasn't it? So
yes.
Because they've changed it, they obviously need to find a way of getting more teams into it. So I think based on how your country does in terms of the teams that are in it from the previous season, it is kind of a fair enough way to do it.
Yes.
What I'd hate for it to happen, which we did talk about, was say that Chelsea, for example, not Chelsea. Let's say Liverpool, for example, weren't in the top 5 or 4 or
Yes.
whatever it's going to. They might finish, say, 12th, and they did talk about before they brought this new format out. One of the suggestions was because Liverpool have won it 5 times,
Yes.
they should get in ahead of the 5th place team, which I think would be completely wrong, because then you're favouring then the team that's worked so hard, maybe a West Ham or
you're favouring basically a big 6 team ahead of teams that really deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not doing it on merit. So I think if with the way that they're doing it, probably based on how your teams do in Europe. Yeah, and it's an incentive for those teams and the country to show.
Yes.
To get another one in. So it's interesting about the Champions League format. I'm starting to get used to it. Obviously, the knockout phase is the same. I did think, and there was a lot of criticism about the Champions League, and it favours bigger clubs. But
well, do you know? I think this new format does it. Probably the opposite.
Well, to be honest, look at it. On paper, it probably does, because you get more big sides playing each other. But if you look, both Real Madrid and Man City didn't make the top 8. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, exactly. And Villa, having that unforgettable night against Bayern Munich, which was pretty amazing to see.
Those even more amazing. One of Real Madrid or Man City is going to head out the Champions League.
Could you imagine if it's Real Madrid? I mean, that would be a real turn up for the books.
Or it's even reached the knockout phase. So, proper. So, and also maybe the group stage teams of 4 in each group was getting a bit stale.
Yes.
So I'm glad that they've kept the same principles for the knockout. Last 16, quarter-final, semi-final. But yeah, I'm actually starting to enjoy it. But City have made a lot of new signings.
Yes, one person I do want to talk to you about, sorry to interrupt you, is Nico Gonzalez, sorry. What did you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, City have made a lot of new signings in the window. Probably needed to.
Well, they needed to, didn't they? Yeah.
We didn't make enough in the summer, based on the way the squad was aging, and it's caught up with them. But I think it just showed where the two teams are at, because Newcastle couldn't spend because of financial fair play rules.
Yeah. Sorry, can I ask you a question, Sam? So is PSR the same thing as financial fair play?
I think it all falls under the similar bracket, yeah.
Right, okay, yeah, I just want to ask you, because when we left the show, I said financial fair play, and Jordan, not a dig, but he corrected it to PSR, so I was just intrigued whether they were the same thing.
I think PSR is the new financial fair play, if you like.
Ah, okay, right, I get you. Right, thank you for that. Sorry, you were saying about City.
100% sure, and maybe somebody could correct, but yeah, they all fall under the same umbrella. So City have refreshed, been able to do that, and Newcastle, through financial rules, nearing the limit of that what they can spend, have not really been able to freshen up, and they have got quite a small squad for what they're going for. So I think that showed.
Yes.
And I think as for Gonzalez, I mean, Pep described him as his mini Rodri, I think.
Oh, yes.
But, I mean, give the lad a bit of time. We're very good in this country, and Pep can say what he wants, but we're very good in this country going, oh, yeah, he's going to learn off Rodri. He's going to be amazing. But Rodri has been almost a one-off, along with Kante in the last sort of, 10, 15 years. So let's give the lad a bit of time to
Oh, I agree.
settle.
Yeah, calling him Mini Rodri, it is kind of funny, but it's also not helpful to compare him.
Well, I think it's okay for Pep to say that, because I think he'd love to hear that. But then the media get hold of it and start going, wow, this guy's amazing. And he's just moved to the country, so let's give him time. He's played one game in the league, so, give him a bit of time. But certainly a great start. Seems to be just what City needed, that defensive midfielder, even though he was a little bit of a panic buy. Maybe they've been scouting him for a while, but they did leave it till deadline day. So, yeah, a type of player they need won't be quite at Rodgers' level, but who is? But what a good signing. They needed that defensive midfielder, obviously. Yeah, so... And as for Newcastle, all is not lost, even though they've had a bit of a poor run. Still, still got the Carabao Cup final to look forward to.
Yes.
Where they've got a chance, they have a chance against Liverpool. So, and a good chance as well. So, yeah, and I think they're still in the FA Cup if I'm not wrong. So, all is not lost for Newcastle.
Okay, and is there anything more you want to say about this game?
One thing I would say though is that Newcastle fans demand passion and running about, even if you get indeed. So the fact that they didn't do that and have struggled over recent weeks to replicate the performances of the last few months will be a concern for.
It's catching up with them, isn't it? They need to add players, don't they, really, in the summer?
But yeah.
Sorry, one more question I want to ask you, Sam. Sorry to interrupt you. So, do you think Isak will be on the move this summer?
No. Unless I don't actually. Unless Newcastle need to get rid of him to raise some money.
So even if Newcastle don't make it into the Champions League, you don't think he'll leave?
As long as Newcastle don't need to get rid of him to make some money for signings, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Then I think Isak will stay, yes.
Okay, right. Anything more you want to say on the City beat Newcastle game?
City will probably just about sneak into the top 4 or 5, whatever it's going to be. Let's say top 4, because that's just easier. We'll probably finish in the top 4 this year. Newcastle still have a chance, but yeah, it'll be an exciting end.
I mean, it's not long ago, obviously, since City had that 5-1, defeat to Liverpool, didn't they? And pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, but you know what they say, form is temporary, class is permanent, and they've added some players now as well, good players.
So you think City will be in the top 4, will they then?
It'd be hard to bet against them, wouldn't it? It'd be hard to bet against them, and as much
as for the title race, they won't win the title, though, will they?
Not now. No, not now. Even by City standards, they're too far behind.
Yeah.
They'd have to win every game, and even if they did that, it probably wouldn't be enough. So, yeah. Top 4. Bournemouth are pushing them hard, but I can't see them staying up there. And we'll see.
Newcastle, do you think they'll get into the Europa League places then?
They've got a chance to finish above City. I wouldn't rule them out of the Champions League fight.
Yeah,
Um,
it's going to be
they
interesting, isn't it?
have dropped off a bit and need to pick up the pace if they want that to be the case with only around 3 months left of the season.
The David Moyes revival at Everton continues. And it was Everton 2, Crystal Palace 1. Mateta in the 47th minute, assisted by Mark Gahey. And Beto in the 42nd minute, assisted by Carlos Alcaraz. In fact, sorry, just to briefly interrupt, it was quite funny. I was watching the transfer stream, and what do you think of Carlos Alcaraz? And they said he's a good tennis player. So yeah, they had that same joke. So yeah, it was funny.
I saw that Gary Lineker also said on Match of the Day, game, set and match.
Yeah,
Alcaraz.
yeah, I think it's going to be a common gag. Yeah, and as well as providing an sorry.
There was a Carlos Alcaraz that did play for Southampton for a while, but I'm not sure if it's the same one.
Not sure. I only really know Carlos Alcaraz, tennis player. Anyway, as well as providing the assist for Beto, Alcaraz also scored in the 80th minute. Okay.
Win it.
Okay, we move on to Brentford 1, West Ham United 0, and it was Shard in the 4th minute.
Sharda.
Oh, Sharda. Right, okay.
Kevin.
Yes. The way to remember that is sounds like Rada. Yeah, the actors group. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Okay, AFC Bournemouth 3, Southampton 1, and Sulemena in the 72nd minute. Have I pronounced that right? Sulemena? Sulemana. Right, okay, assisted by Onuachu. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then for Bournemouth, Ottawa?
Atara.
Right, thank you. Assisted by Ryan Christie. I think is it Ryan? Oh, yeah, it says here Ryan Christie. Then, as well as providing an assist, Ryan Christie in the 16th minute. And then Marcus Tavernier in the 83rd minute, assisted by Antoine Semenyo.
Antoine Semenyo, yeah.
Yes. We don't need to do the City v Newcastle game because we've already covered that. And then we go on to Fulham 2, Nottingham Forest 1. I thought... I didn't know where this game was going to go, actually. I don't know about you. I thought...
I thought it was going to be a draw at Fulham.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a draw as well. Emile Smith-Rowe in the 15th minute, assisted by Adama Traore. And then Bassi in the 62nd minute, assisted by Raul Jimenez. And then Chris Wood, who else, in the 37th minute, assisted by Morgan Gibbs-White.
Wood of the Forest.
I knew that was coming. If you had that on your bingo card, tick that off.
Well, then the wood started to crack, unfortunately.
Aston Villa 1, Ipswich Town 1. Now, did you see this? Axel Tuanzebe being sent off.
I didn't actually, so you'll have to talk me through it.
So, the first challenge where he got the yellow card, and they showed him slow motion match of the day. He won back the ball and didn't make that much contact. So when they showed it in slow motion, didn't seem worthy of a yellow card. The second yellow card was definitely worthy of that. It was just a stupid challenge. There was no need to do it at all. And Tuanzebe just lost his head. Anyway.
That's interesting because, while we're on that, because I always think if a player wins the ball, even if it's forceful, if he gets the ball first, obviously he can't go through a player to win the ball, but if he gets the ball first, then a touch on the ball first, and it should be seen as a good tackle. But today's game, it doesn't seem to be that way, and I don't really like that. So And yeah, if you play the ball and win the ball, then it should be play on for me. But there we go.
Yeah. So as well as getting sent off, Twanzebe scored in the 40. Oh no, sorry, no. Twanzebe didn't score. No, because that's when he got sent off. I do beg your pardon for that. Liam Delap in the 56th minute, assisted by Omari Hutchinson, and then Ollie Watkins in the 69th minute. This game also marks the debut of Marcus Rashford, who he came off the bench and looked really lively, looked really sharp, and really wanted to get stuck in.
His Premier League debut for Villa, obviously played against in the cup. He played for Villa against Tottenham in the FA Cup. Yeah, he looks bright and lively, and yeah, where's that been? But you can say that about a lot of United players.
Yes, exactly. Arsenal 2, Leicester City 0. Now, this was a pretty bizarre game. Really, the game wasn't... The first goal wasn't until the 81st minute. Mikel Merino, who came off the bench, who also scored in the 87th minute. So very bizarre. And assisted by Ethan Nwaneri in the 81st minute. And Leandro Trossard, you mentioned him, in the 87th minute. Okay. And yes, we've covered all of that. Let me just check. Oh yes, sorry. So I've got one more game to cover on the scores, and it's Liverpool 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Luis Diaz in the 15th minute. And
they played very well, Wolves did.
Yes, they did, yeah. Liverpool, yeah, just about managed, but good teams. And, teams that's in the race for the title sometimes have to grind results out, and that's what they did. Luis Diaz in the 15th minute, and then Mohamed Salah with a penalty in the 37th minute, and Cunha in the 67th minute, assisted by Bellegarde. And that's...
Bellegarde.
Oh, Bellegarde.
Bellegarde, yeah.
Bellegarde, sorry. Okay, well, that was the Premier League results. And now, well, I see the board and it's got my number on it, which means I need to head back to join the other players on the bench. But he's been warming up and he's got his bib off. So here to take you through the EFL and the rest of the show. It's over to you, Sam Taylor.
Thank you very much, Will. And unfortunately, we don't have the EFL guru with us tonight, JLI Wheels.
Yeah.
You will have to bear with me because there's a lot of results to get through here, everybody. And with my poor eyesight, there might be some challenges, but let's go for it, eh?
Yes. Over to you, mate.
So we start on Friday the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, and I hope you all felt the love as well. One person who would have felt the love was Derby County's new manager, John Eustace, who left Blackburn earlier in the week. But on today's occasion, it was not a match made in heaven for John, as QPR beat Derby County 4-0. We move on to Saturday, and Stoke City hosted Swansea, and Stoke came out victors in this one.
The old Arsenal.
A 3-1 victory over Swansea City for Mark Robbins' side. Danny Roll was at home as Sheffield Wednesday played Coventry, and Coventry won this game 2-1. Frank Lampard's side getting a very good away day victory there. It finished all square at the Den as Millwall drew 1-1 with West Brom. Up to the northeast now as Middlesbrough hosted Watford, and Tom Cleverley's strugglers got a vital 3 points as they beat Middlesbrough 1-0. Luton Town continued to struggle at the bottom of the table as they lost 1-0 at home to high-flying Sheffield United, who are looking to return to the Premier League. Hull, another team struggling at the bottom of the table, faced Norwich at the KCON Stadium. I think it's still called the KCON, and that finished in a 1-1 draw. Blackburn Rovers, who may have been feeling the hangover of John Eustace's departure to Derby, but they didn't show it on the pitch as they beat recent FA Cup giant slayers Plymouth Argyle 2-0. Preston North End and Burnley drew 0-0. No surprise that Scott Parker's side had another clean sheet. And Oxford United, who have been in good form recently, but that did not continue today as they, not today, over the weekend, as they lost to Portsmouth 2-0 at home. Those two were promoted together. And our last game for Saturday, the 15th of February, was Cardiff 1, Bristol City 1. So that is also a derby for those of you that don't know. They are.
How is that a derby, Cardiff and Bristol?
Because even though they're two separate, one's in England, one's in Wales, they're just separated by a river.
I see. Right, okay.
So it is a derby, but a good question.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
No championship games on the Sunday, so we go to Monday night, and it finished Leeds 2, Sunderland 1, as Leeds continue their great form at the top of the table. And I'll just double check that concludes the fixtures for the weekend.
Championship fixtures for, yeah.
There was a game, but that goes into the next game week. So.
Oh right, okay. Well, we'll cover that, I guess, next week. Yeah.
So into League One we go. A full program of fixtures which we love. Yeah, and some good games there. As teams start to jostle seriously for promotion and to try and avoid relegation.
Well, yeah, this time of the season is when things really get to hot up, aren't they, really? When things get serious.
Absolutely. So we start on Saturday, the 15th of February, and it finished Wigan Athletic 0, Stockport 2. Stockport's great form since getting promoted from League 2 continues. Stevenage 1, Peterborough, who've been struggling, 1. Shrewsbury, depending on which side of the River Severn you live. Which side of the town you live, not the Severn. Lost a thriller to Bolton 3-2, or 2-3 I should say. Reading beat Rotherham 2-1. Leyton Orient 3, Lincoln City 2. Crawley 1, Wycombe Wanderers 1. Bristol Rovers 3 and struggling Burton Albion 1. Blackpool played a thriller against Mansfield as they had a 3-3 draw.
Wow, goodness me, what a game that was then.
Birmingham, under their rich, famous owners, beat Charlton Athletic 1-0. Barnsley came out on the wrong end as they lost to Huddersfield 1-2 or 2-1. Northampton lost to Hollywood Wrexham 2-0 at home. Cambridge lost 1-0 at home to Exeter. Yeah, that concludes your League One fixtures. And so I'll just get League Two up. Again, League One is hotting up as we enter the final stages, or the final third of the season.
Well, yeah, there's not that long to go, is there now?
No. So it's a great time to pick up form if you're near the bottom and maybe push for a playoff. But not great if you lose form and you're near the top. Like the Alex are doing at the minute. Alex, who've been up there all season, and then we look like we might blow it, which...
Crude Alexander.
Yeah. More like crap Alexander at the minute.
Did you like that though? Crude Alexander.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Let me just get the results up. How does that start there? Yes, it does. So we start on Thursday, the 13th of February, not Friday the 13th, because we felt the love on Valentine's Day on the Friday. And we start with a very sobering result. Port Vale. Boo! Vale Scum beat Notts County 1-0. Then we move on to the Saturday. It finished Walsall 3, Chesterfield 1, Tranmere 1, MK Dons 1. Then we have a goalless draw, I'm afraid. Newport 0, Bradford City 0, Morecambe 2, Accrington 0, Harrogate 1, Swindon 0. The Alex stopped the rot, but it wasn't much more than that, I'm afraid, as we drew 0-0 away to Gillingham.
Oh, so yeah, not very exciting then.
Cheltenham 3, Barrow 2. That was an exciting game. Another scoreless draw, but a valuable point for Carlisle, who drew with Colchester 0-0. And it was said Burnley then. I was like, that's definitely not Burnley.
No, because they're in the Championship.
Bromley beat Fleetwood 1-0, who've gone very well in their first season back, or might be their first season ever in the Football League. I'm not sure. Doncaster lost to Grimsby. Great film. 2-1 at home. And Wimbledon 1, Salford City 0. So that concludes your EFL scores. Now, it would be very, very wrong of us not to discuss as the last part of the show, not to discuss the managerial changes in the EFL, which seem to be week on week at the minute. So we'll start with a strange one, Will, and I don't know if you've been keeping up with the manager.
I'm a bit behind with the EFL, mate, so yeah, I have to confess, yeah.
Okay, John Eustace left playoff chasing Blackburn.
That does seem a bit of a strange time, really, a time that the club could really have done with you not doing that at this time of the season.
To join relegation-threatened Derby County, which was a bit strange, as Will said. But when you read deeper into it, John Eustace is from the Midlands. Now, you might say that the East Midlands, now you might say that that's no reason to leave your job. But if reasons are to be believed, the Blackburn owners, who are the Venkies, they have not backed their managers and have gone back on promises in recent times. That's why John Dole Thomas.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, it's maybe no wonder why he chose to leave then.
John Dole Thomason left. John Dole Thomason or John Yard Thomason, I'm not sure how you say it, left in January of last year. When Eustace was appointed after doing a brilliant job at Birmingham and then being unfairly, ridiculously sacked and replaced by Wayne Rooney, and we all know how that went. So,
yep.
John Eustace, came in last January and has done really well with Blackburn because they were relegation threatened last year, got them back up and about where they've been.
Well, that's pretty amazing. If they were facing relegation to get them into the playoff, well, almost facing the playoff places, that's pretty amazing.
They faced relegation or the potential of relegation last season. They were in and around the playoffs for the previous years. So,
right.
But he's done a good job there. But apparently, he was promised money in the summer. That didn't really come in. They lost Sammy Smodics to Ipswich, who was a key player for them, and was promised money. They have 10 first-team players out of contract come the summer.
Oh dear, that seems a bit chaotic.
Might even be 11. So when you delve deeper into it, on the face, you might think, why has he left Blackburn for a relegation threatened side? But when you dig a bit deeper, you kind of...
Well, yes, it makes sense, doesn't it?
It might be there, and you might think, well, the manager's just making it up, but the fact the last few managers have seemingly had the same problem.
That tells you that,
resigned or gone to another club, in this case Derby for Blackburn. It's not good. And if your clubs run properly, it shouldn't really happen.
Well, exactly. To have 10 or 11 players out of contract is pretty disastrous, yeah.
Even though he did play for Derby, I don't think that's why he's left. I think there's a mess there at Blackburn, and maybe they are going to struggle.
Why would anybody want to manage Blackburn when they've clearly got owners that can't keep promises and, everything's a mess there?
Yeah, and there's no money. I'm pretty sure the Venkies were looking to sell Blackburn, but that's not materialised. Anyway, probably need new owners. So does that managerial change? Carlisle have announced Mark Hughes as their new manager.
Who I thought had retired from management, I did, to be honest.
wasn't sure. Well, he was at Bradford, wasn't he, for a while? But
Oh, I
what
think that
for?
might have been when I was out of football. I think
Yeah, well, he went to Bradford after Southampton,
Oh
like
he did. I'd forgotten he managed Southampton. Yeah.
a few years, but he didn't get a job for like 5 years. It is a bit weird, really. But he didn't do very well at Bradford, got sacked from there, and is now at struggling Carlisle.
And do you think he'll do? Do you think he'll do a good job there, Ben?
Well, it's a bit strange. It's very different if you're used to, because he's managed Man City, he's managed QPR,
Stoke City, he's managed them. Yeah.
he's managed Wales, I think. But
Yeah.
sure,
Very experienced manager. Yeah.
yeah, you're at the top, and sometimes when you manage lower down, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do well, because yeah, the players are different, the football's different.
Yeah. Exactly. I was just about to say that. Yeah.
So yeah, we will see. Um, we will see about that one. I think it's a gamble because he's struggled in recent times, and he might even become a National League manager, which would be quite something.
Yeah.
Based on
The fact that he's not had a job for 5 years is pretty.
no, well, he had one. He had one. He left Bradford last season.
Oh,
I think it was.
sorry. Yeah.
But in between finishing at Southampton and going to
Right.
Bradford,
Yes. Sorry, I get you. Yeah.
I think it was about 5 years, I'm guessing there, but it was almost that. And for a championship club, for a experienced manager, a championship club didn't snap him up. I was very surprised, and then for him to end up in League Two was even more surprising.
Is
But
it
it's
because
back
do
there.
you think that sort of manager is becoming out of date? Do you think why?
I think he just said that nobody. Well, whether there's more to Mark Hughes as a manager than meets the eye, maybe because it's very rare. But I just think maybe he's out of fashion in the top level. But I'm very surprised somebody in Championship didn't get him. But it could very easily be yesterday's news if you don't take a job relatively quickly. I thought that might happen to
Well, yeah,
Graham Potter.
exactly.
I thought that might happen to Graham Potter actually, because he'd been out for so long. But back in at West Ham
Well,
with me.
yeah, yes.
Now, was there any other managerial changes? I think that is all the managerial changes we have. If there are any more between now and
Oh, mind you, Mike Williamson wasn't there. There was that, wasn't
no,
there?
Mike Williamson was sacked
Oh,
from.
sorry. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Oh no, there was another one. That's it. I remembered. Cambridge United have, following the weekend's results, have sacked Gary Monk, the one-time Swansea City legend, and then Swansea City manager has now.
Birmingham City manager as well.
Yeah, has now, and I thought he did a good job
Oh,
at Swansea.
and Leeds. He managed Leeds, didn't he? For a while.
Yeah, and he, and I thought did well with Swansea, but since then his managerial career has been on a bit of a downward spiral. Gary Monk has been sacked by Cambridge United. I don't think they have a manager in place yet, as it was just the weekend. But as soon as we get updates on Cambridge's situation, as well as any other managerial changes, you will hear it next week, fresh on without having kicked a ball. So, that is the end of today's show. Obviously, it's not as expansive as normal, as there's only two of us. So,
Well, I think we've still managed to cover a lot there, though.
So hopefully you won't be getting your ears chewed off too much when you watch this back. That's the delight of
Yeah, or listen to it on Spotify, of course, as well.
only have to. Yes, for our new viewers on Spotify, or should I say our new listeners on Spotify, I hope you are enjoying the podcast so far. And obviously for our viewers on YouTube on the TubeMix channel, I hope you're enjoying the season.
Yeah.
And if you do have any more any suggestions for us, I know I say this every week, but please do let us know.
Well, yeah, we'd love to hear your suggestions. Yeah.
We would, and we do this show, and we obviously have a lot to talk about with the results. But if there's ever any, if there's ever any things you want to talk about, subjects within football, beyond, or you just need to chat and want to chat with us, then we're open for that as well. So please do get in touch with us. We don't bite.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
We don't bite, I promise. Do you just want to quickly just tell the viewers about Spotify and how they can find you on Spotify?
Oh, well, just if you search Without Him and Kick the Ball, and there, you'll find us there. Now, despite me changing it to soccer, which is obviously the American word for football, it's still under American football. I tried to change it, but it's still under American football. So, but yeah, if you search for Without Him and Kick the Ball, then you'll find us there. Yeah.
And that's just coming up as soccer on Spotify, I presume.
Well, so on the Spotify for Creators thing, which is how you upload it, so I changed it to the genre to soccer, and then I saved it, and then it saved all the details. But then when I went back on Spotify, it was still under American football. So, I don't know, but I certainly tried to change it to soccer, and it saved it, but when it was actually on Spotify, it still came under American football. So, who knows?
If you love your American football and you find us, I'm very sorry, but hopefully you find us very interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I presume that's just on the normal search bar. You can just search.
The normal search bar. Just Without Him and Kick the Ball, and then you'll find the icon, and you'll find us there if you want to listen. Yeah,
great stuff, and we'd love that. But we keep repeating that every week because it's a new thing, and we want new listeners to engage through Spotify.
Yeah, exactly, and of course I'll be getting back on TikTok as well to, give you reminders as well and to provide links as well for it. So yeah.
And also, we're aware not everybody likes to go on YouTube and stuff. So the more we can branch this out, and people like to listen to podcasts these days.
Yeah. And I just want to say, episodes 1 and the episodes that we've already had done that are not on Spotify. Just bear with me. It will take a little bit of time to get them out, but they will eventually be there and will eventually be in sync. Yeah.
All that's left to say is watch this space.
Absolutely. Listen to this space. Yeah.
Listen to this space. Yeah, I think, to be honest, Will, and I'm sure, I think it's a great idea to get it on Spotify because people do listen to lots of podcasts now.
That Spotify is designed for podcasts. YouTube, well, there is some podcasts on there. It's not designed for podcasts.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, since COVID, podcasts have really taken off.
Oh, absolutely massive, yeah.
And don't always want to be sat watching things. They can just plug their earphones in, do whatever they do.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And you don't have to look at our ugly faces as well, so... I know where I'd be watching the show or listening to the show, and it wouldn't be on YouTube. It'd definitely be on Spotify.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have been Sam Taylor. If you're new to this show and you have found us through Spotify or do find us, we do a weekly show most weeks, other than possibly sometimes in international weeks we'll do a review. And sometimes we'll
sort
have
of a state of play, the overview on all the football leagues, and sometimes in Europe. Yeah, that's what we do for the international breaks.
And sometimes, obviously, if there's nobody available, we will do it on our own, or the two of us, like there is tonight. So we get you your football content, however, and as often as we can.
Yes, and also head to Ben's Football Folio for even more football chat. You know, our very own Ben Carney writes some absolutely fantastic articles that are so in depth. They've got pictures with them as well, and they're just absolutely wonderful. So yeah, check out Ben's Football Folio for even more football chat.
And yeah, and you know, for all you football lovers out there, there are always local clubs nearby. So whether you're a young person or looking to get into football, or you know, an adult, or you know, like you wouldn't even walk to go to walk-in football. And there's so many different types of football out there.
Yeah, including power chair football, which you know you play.
Including power chair football. If you want to know, if you're a wheelchair user and you want to know about power chair football, then please type in the WFA, the Wheelchair Football Association. All the information will come up on the website of how to get in touch with the WFA. There's clubs throughout the whole country. So please get in touch, and also if you go on to the WFA YouTube channel, you'll find loads of YouTube clips of the England team and some West Brom side and the top sides in the country. So so if you're wondering what it's all about, go for it. But you know, football is accessible for all.
Exactly.
Now.
Whatever form. Yeah.
Whatever form. It's football. So yeah. So for those of you who maybe, you know, it's hard. We are wheelchair users ourselves. So
and me, I'm a wheelchair user, but well, yeah, I'm not into playing anyway. So yeah.
Well, as wheelchair users, we know it can be difficult, especially as you're growing up, to find.
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely.
Find things you like, you feel included in, and if you're a big football fan, you might think, oh, I can't play football. You know, even if you're not a wheelchair user and you might have visual difficulties or hearing difficulties, there's so many forms of football.
Oh, so yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Please do look it up. You know, and yeah, if we ever need our help to then you go, I don't know, but you know, I'm looking for this kind of football, or then we're happy to go and research.
Yeah, we'd be happy to at least sort of give you a little nudge in the right direction.
Absolutely. I just, sorry to ramble on, but I just thought that's important.
Oh, I agree. Yes, yeah.
You know, there's people out there that, you know, might help them to go on to find their form of football they love, or
yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
Even set up a channel like this, who knows? Anyway, that is enough rambling, I think, for one day. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to both.
Yeah, the TubeMix YouTube channel, or give us a follow on Spotify.
Yes, absolutely. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week on without having kicked the ball.